Hey, welcome. Well, Hector, I don't know. I can't see. Maybe we can multi-screen. Maybe Hector can start talking or whatever, and we can multi-screen because Hector
There we
doesn't.
go.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, bud.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Nice to talk
You're
to you
in
today.
California, aren't you? Are you California
Yeah, I'm in California.
in
Exactly.
Newport Beach? Yeah. Well,
Pasadena. Yeah, in Pasadena,
uh,
my daughter's house.
oh, nice, nice. How wonderful. Well, uh, say hi to Dak and Janae. And oh, by the way, one of our okay, now when I introduce Gary, I'll tell you about in Montana where he is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Hey, you guys, Hector needs no introduction. I want to get right to it because we got a bunch of people that would like to ask Hector questions. And one of the reasons why, so maybe when I want to start with Rob and Candace Cool because they're obviously they're third generation to Hector. Hector knows who they are. They're near-term $1 million earners, and they live on the west coast of Canada, of course, on Vancouver Island, where I live. So we're in the further west part. So why don't we start from the west, and maybe we'll bounce over to the east and talk to Jimmy in a minute. So Rob and Candace, welcome.
Good morning.
What I think I'd like to hear the most is that because we weren't in Hector's hierarchy to begin with, we were able to get into after Hubert Humphrey. We were in his hierarchy for Rob. How many years were we in his hierarchy before we moved? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was interesting. We, being part of Hubert hierarchy, there was lots of show and not a lot of substance. There was lots of, you know, uh, you could probably describe Hubert as a character, not necessarily. Well, I mean, Hector came along. Hector wasn't a character, but Hector had character, and that's I think that resonated with a lot of people, especially in Canada. It was kind of how we roll, right? So a little understated, a little more about getting down to business, and then the big thing, obviously, that has affected I think everybody on the call and pretty, I guess, everybody in the company is that what Hector was really great at is he took the teaching of Tom Hopkins primarily and then really primericaed it and brought it to everybody so that we could internalize it and it came out so we could all close business and make more money. And obviously people have had varying degrees of success with that over the years, but that was really the big fundamental shift. So I mean, thank you, Hector, and
Welcome.
um, that you really caused us all to have um, really better lives because our businesses were better. And the second part to that was, if you think about how Hubert kind of rolled, it was all spend, no save, right? Spend, in all the way into bankruptcy. And then, but you're like, you'll drive an older car, you live in a tract home till it was paid off. And you said, save your money, get financial independence so that, you don't need Primerica. And I mean, not everybody heeds that advice, and maybe you heed that advice at different parts in your life. But we are financially independent now, and we do owe a lot of that thinking. The way that you taught that thinking and got us more focused on getting debt free and financial independent. And I still drive a 2007 automobile, and I don't care because it doesn't matter. So it's probably time to buy a new one. You still driving Audi, Hector?
What's that?
Are you still driving an Audi?
I have yeah, I have an Audi a SQ7. It's a
See, I was
yeah.
driving Audi back when you were probably still selling Meadow Fresh,
Right,
but
right.
anyway, I'll leave it at that. So not to take up everybody's time. I just wanted to just
Yeah,
By
I
the way,
guess I
I also have Bentley, so just so you know.
nice.
well, your income is slightly higher now than it was back then. Now I would just to add to that, Hector, one of the things that Rob and I have always appreciated about you is the fact that you always put your family first. You were very clear on why you were here at Primerica. You never kept that secret from us at all, and you just really made a point of letting us know what the priorities should be. And not that that's necessarily different from Primerica's priorities or even how Art started the business, but not everybody carries that through, right? And you really did. And we've always appreciated the way that you've respected us personally. You respect how we do our business. You might not always agree with it, but you still respect it, and that says a lot, right? It says a lot about your character and just the way that you always treated Jan like she was a precious jewel, and showed us how to live right in your marriage. and to just be an awesome father, and the way that you exemplified that. Uh, anyway,
Thank you, Candace.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Robin, Candace. Good to see you.
You
Good to
know,
see you too.
and Hector, what we have, thank you guys, Rob and Candace, for opening. It's always hard to open, I think, but we have more people on this call than we normally get for all our 8 rooms combined, Hector. So, and I understand from the chat that there's a lot of new people that may not even know who you are. So I thought you want to give your 5-minute personal story, and then we'll get Jimmy Bone to ask you some questions.
Yeah, sure, sure. Well, this is my 40th year in Primerica. I started when I was 26, turning 27. So I've been at this for a very, very long time. I have a pretty humble background. I grew up the fifth of 7 children in a 1,000 square foot home with 9 people in it. So we didn't have much. It was pretty crowded. I never really thought about it growing up, but when I look back and I go by my parents' old home that they had, it's pretty amazing. My life has changed dramatically because of Primerica. I think, I mean, what I'd really like to just share for so that kind of, I was very shy, growing up. I was an introvert, I'm still an introvert, but not like I used to be. But I was, uh, I was kind of shy and didn't have a lot of confidence. And I listened to How to Master the Art of Selling Anything. It's a 12 audio program with Tom Hopkins, a sales program. So I listened to that program for a couple hours a day, at least 5 days a week for 3 straight years in my car, driving to and from work. I didn't ever listen to music. I only listened to that. And I got to the point where my sales skills got so good that I got confident. I got really confident. And my closing ratio went through the roof, and the best part of it, I got really really good at teaching it and getting other people to do what I did. And so as a result of that, we have produced a lot of very high income people in our organization. Barry's one of them, and so is Rob and Candace, doing really well. We have a lot of people making a lot of money. My thing was always uh, I wanted to teach. The only reason I got something wrong with my eye here. I'm sorry. The only
That's
reason
okay.
the only reason people leave primarily is because they don't make money. And I figured if I could teach people how to make money, that they would stay. And as a result of that, really happened. I have 16,000 licensed agents in my organization, and you can't build a business like that and retain people unless your people make money. So I think that's one of the messages I want to relate today, is that you need to learn how to make money, and you need to learn how to teach people to make money. So that was what I really focused on. I'm not a motivational guy, as you know. I'm not a rah-rah guy. I'm really big on teaching and getting people's skill levels up so that they can make money and they can stay in the business and they can help other people do that as well. So that's what I've always focused on doing. So, um, been at this thing a long time, and one of the things that's really great. I don't know why my eye is watering, but I apologize for.
No,
Uh,
man, it's okay.
One of the things that's been really fun about the business is watching other people succeed and start realizing their own dreams. I was talking to Barry. We had a nice conversation yesterday, but Barry has a great life. I mean, he does really, really well. He makes a lot of money, and but his life is really great. And I think that's one of the things that I really focused on. My number one thing. Uh, I mean, I have nice things. I have, 3 homes and all that kind of stuff. But the thing I really wanted was to have freedom and not have to do what I want to do when I want to do it, with whom I want to do it, in the fashion I want to do it. I think that's, for me, the big prize in Primerica is I created an enormous amount of freedom in my life. As a matter of fact, my wife Jan passed away a year ago, January, and she died of from breast cancer. And we were together from the time I was 17 to the time I was 67. So almost 50 years we had dated. We weren't married the whole time, but we were together a very long time. And so when she first was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was already financially independent. I was making a lot of money, and I decided that I was going to just. A lot of I stopped going to Primerica events and all that. I spent the next almost 20 years with my wife, taking care of her and traveling. In fact, we traveled to 70 countries over that period of time. We did 4 of these around the world in the private jet tours and stuff. We did all kinds of amazing stuff. So, no regrets at all. We've had an amazing life. And so, I think that, and even during that time where I was kind of like checked out quite a bit, I think I made close to $60 million during that time, not working. So
Hmm.
that's the kind of business you're involved in. I mean, that if you do it right, you build it right, you teach people how to sell and how to close and how to get results and get them to the point where they actually don't need you. That was always my focus. I wanted to get everybody on my team skill sets up to a point so that they didn't need me. And so that's allowed me to have an enormous amount of freedom. So the last 20 years I checked up, but we had an amazing life and I'm still made a lot of money and it's in this business is incredible if you do it right. If you get really good at it and you get really good at teaching, it's an incredible business. And there's nothing like having a lot of freedom. That's amazing. And now I live in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, about half the year, and the other half in Newport Beach. And I have a home in Las Vegas as well. But I'm a kind of a weather snob. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
live in places where the weather's really, really good all the time. So if it's not, then I go somewhere where it is. Um, and so this has been an enormous, incredible ride here, this Primerica thing. And I think all of you need to really realize that this is a place where you can literally change yours and your family's life forever. And you need to really take that in and understand that and treat this business with the respect it deserves, where you take care of it and you grow it and you help other people. I mean, that's one of the things that I've always done. And, I'd like to see all of you do that. And all of you are capable of doing that. I mean, there's nobody on this call that's incapable. You're all capable, and you need to start looking. But the most important thing I think that has to happen for all of you is and I think this is what I've been teaching anyways. If you become a professional salesperson, and nobody in Primerica talks about this, I don't understand how no one talks about it, because
Yeah.
it's the number one thing that makes the business easy and fun. If you become a professional salesperson and you teach your people to be professional salespeople, you're gonna number one, you're gonna create tremendous freedom in your life, but you're gonna help them become free as well. Like Barry and Rob and Candace are. So learn how to sell and learn how to teach how to sell, because the only reason you lose people is they don't make money, and the only reason they don't make money is because they can't close, they can't sell, they're not good at selling. So that anybody ignores that has always baffled me. I don't know how it's so clear to me that that's the number one thing you need to do, and nobody in Primerica talks about it. It's always like going, what's wrong with these people? Don't they see that that's the main way that you get there? But that's okay. As long as you get there, it doesn't really matter. So,
Thanks, man. It's so true, because we were started full time in BC and a lot of the other countries, and we had to learn how to sell. But it was kind of embarrassing in the Humphrey environment. We had to recruit, and so thanks for teaching us. Thanks for allowing us to become professional salespeople. One of the guys I want to hear from next to ask you some questions is I want to go across the country, do some million-dollar earners. So Rob and Candace are on the west coast of Canada, the Hawaii of Canada. Now we're going to
right.
go to Ontario. Okay, Ontario, which with our great multi-million-dollar earner, a good friend of mine, Jim Bone. Jimmy, you want to come on the board and ask Hector some questions, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Jim, how are
Morning.
you, buddy?
It's good, Hector. How you doing?
Great, great.
Good. Excellent. Very great job hosting, and same with Brad and the whole team running this to serve all of Canada. I just think it's incredible. Just really unifies everybody, giving spirit. I know you're going to probably hear from Arlie. It's amazing, how much unity we've got right now in the country. So, hey, Hector, I was thinking, I got two questions for you, and because the training goes quickly, I want to get right to the questions, and I know everybody wants, where we're at, and before I do that, I remember, I flew to California back in 1993. Barry, actually, we were on a mutual fund incentive trip, and I don't know if you remember
Right. Right. I do remember that. Yeah.
And we're supposed to be in McKenzie meetings, and I'm going, I'm this close to Hector's office. I ain't going to no McKenzie meeting. So anyways, flipped over this training, and Hector, you had the big overhead projector, which I know the millennials go, what's an overhead projector? And you had some zone so, you know, I was in the front row. We got there first, and you had probably about 80 people in the meeting. And I remember, you know, you said, take this and go photocopy it. So I went to the local, I think it was Staples. I can't remember. It was near your office.
Yeah.
And I talked to the cashier and I said, you know, have you heard of Hector LaMarque? She goes, oh yeah, he tried to recruit me. And I go, you didn't join? Like, what's wrong with you? You know, I mean, doesn't anybody say no to, I mean, how can anybody say no to Hector, right? Anyways, it's two questions I got for you. Hector, first one is this generation that's doing the business right now. So I'm saying, you know, the guys that are, you know, 35 today, I'm going to tell you, they are, when they're on, they're so efficient. We know what took us 90 days to do, they can do in 30 days. But at the same time, you know, when you're at your level of success and experience and insight, other than what you just said, them mastering the art of sales, what would you say is the biggest challenge of this next generation? Like, I don't know if it would it be distractions? They got too many things, or how would you say that next generation, even though they're very efficient, what would you say is the greatest challenge with that next generation coming in our business?
Yeah, there are a lot of distractions. I mean, there's so many things to be distracted by. And I have a saying that distraction leads to your economic destruction. So you can't, you cannot get distracted and then become super successful. You have to learn how to stay really focused on what it is you're doing. And I think the other thing that most people that I've noticed is even people they start doing well, they don't continue to do the things they did to start doing well. And they get distracted. They go off on a tangent or something. I think one of the things that's really important is that you can't get bored doing the fundamental things that allow you to be successful. So if you take your income from 0 to 100,000, so you can't stop doing what you did to get to 100 because those are the things that are going to allow you to get to 200 or 300 or 4 or 500,000. So, and I think for me, one of the reasons I've had a lot of success is I never got distracted doing all the fundamental things that allowed me to have various levels of success. I kept doing them. Even I didn't get bored, you know, doing the fundamental things. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people because there's so many, you know, shiny things out there that distract people from what they're doing. But if you can stay focused, and if you look at all the great athletes, like, you know, like a Tiger Woods, I'm a golfer. So, I mean, his level of focus on doing the fundamental things that allowed him to be a great golfer, he never let up on that for years and years and years. And now he's a billionaire, right? So that's there's in every field, that's similar, you know, for you guys, Gretzky. I mean, look how great was he, right? And by the way, if you haven't read Gretzky's autobiography, it's one of the greatest autobiographies I've ever read.
Yeah.
You should read it, and you can see why he became what do they call him, the great one? I'm not sure
The
what
great one.
the great
Yeah.
one. Or the
Barry,
great-
isn't he the second great one now?
Well, Ovechkin did outscore him, but he didn't out assist him. So Gretzky is
Okay.
still the great one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah. Go
Yeah.
Canada, elbows up.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay, Jimmy. Any other questions there, Jimmy? That
Yeah,
was a
yeah, I
great
got
question.
one more. Hector,
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
sometimes what we do is, you know, we see people like yourself, successful, multi-million dollar earner, and we think, man, did they ever have a setback? Did they ever have a challenge on the business front? You know, we know personal front, you had a challenge.
Yeah.
But what would you say is, you know, with an audience like us, we get different, obviously, levels of income here that are listening to you this morning. What would you say was a major setback that you faced earlier in your business, and how did you overcome it? Or, you know, what did you do differently? And what lessons did you learn from that you'd love to share with us?
Well, I think the number one lesson I learned, you know, that allowed me to really have the kind of success I've had. The first 3 years I was in the business, I was trying to help everyone be successful. I thought I could help everybody be successful. You know what I figured out after 3 years of getting frustrated? I figured out that most people just aren't very motivated. They just aren't. And that's the fact. I mean, so when you know, you have however number of people, not everyone's motivated. In fact, most people are not motivated. And so after that first 3 years, I made a decision because I was working with these people that weren't doing what I was asking them to do, weren't following my instruction. And so I just said, you know what? I'm not going to work with anybody who's not motivated anymore. I'm just simply not going to do it. And I stopped working with unmotivated people, and I only spent my energy on the motivated ones. And when I did that, all of a sudden I was almost at 100 grand. I went from that to 400 grand to 855 grand to a million to 2 to 3 million. And the number one reason that I think that I've had the kind of success is I only work with motivated people. I don't spend any energy on the unmotivated. If they're not listening to me and doing what I'm asking them to do, I'm nice to them. Hi, how are you? Hi, John. Hi, Mary. How's your family? But I don't spend any energy on anyone who's not motivated. I spent all my energy on the ones that were, and that's what catapulted my business and my income. And the other thing that it's done is it's allowed me to continue to work and not get tired. I'm not tired. I don't get frustrated with people because I don't work with people that make me frustrated, which is the non-motivated ones and only the motivated. And so that to me, if I look back on my career, what was the thing that allowed me to have the success I've had is that focus, only working with motivated people. And so some people say, I want to help everybody. Well, you can't help everybody. It's kind of like trying to help an alcoholic who doesn't want to stop drinking. Well, what are you going to do for them? Nothing. You can't help them. But if they're motivated, then maybe you can, right? So that's true in Primerica. You look at your business. If I were you, I'd look at all your teammates and say who's the most motivated, and then I would start spending an enormous amount of time and energy with those people, coaching and teaching and making sure their skill sets are very high and they know what they're doing and they can close and they can recruit and they can train people and they know how to do things. So spend all your energy with the motivated, and I think your business will really take off and your income will, and theirs will too. So that's the thing that I did that I think made everything possible for me in Primerica.
Wow. That's great. Those are great answers. Thanks for sharing, Hector.
You're welcome.
And thanks, Jimmy, for asking those questions. And Hector, thanks so much for that. I'm going to move on to, I'm going to go from Ontario. Well, actually, Jimmy, you in Florida or Ontario? Where are you?
Ontario right now.
Okay, so Jimmy's in Ontario. And now
Mhm.
we're going to come all the way back out to Alberta and
Mhm.
ask Gary Martin to share his story of about Hector and ask Hector a couple of questions. Thanks, Jimmy.
Good to see you, Jimmy.
Hey Hector, how you doing, bud?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good,
Oh,
good.
by the way, Hector, I wanted to tell you, I found out that Gary in his place in Montana is 40 minutes away from where Dak lives.
Oh, is that right?
Your son,
Yeah.
yeah, it's right,
My
Gary.
son, my son
Yeah.
bought nine acres in Whitefish not too long.
Beautiful part of the world. Beautiful part of the world.
Sure is.
I turn the clock back, and every time I hear your voice is the thing that gets me going more than anything, Hector. Back in the beginning, I started in the late 80s, just about the time you just mentioned where you you started working with only motivated people.
Hmm.
And my track record about the same time that you were going up was about the same as yours. And all of a sudden you just launched.
Hmm.
And I went down that same McKenzie meeting that you talked about, guys. And um, we sat in that little meeting that you had, Hector, and I heard you talking about that kind of stuff. And I thought, you are a jerk. Why would you only work with the motivated people? You are Heck, you are. I went back home and I thought, what a loser. I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to. And boom, you launched and I just flattened out. And I thought, what the heck? And so I was telling
Doing
Barry
that.
last night, my experience was I thought, okay, Hector was the guy that was moving back then. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do everything. I became a mini Hector. I I went to Hopkins a half a dozen times. I learned this, I learned that. I could close, I could get everything worked but the hair. I didn't get the hair like I mean, I was trying to do everything I could possibly do to be like, and then building began to happen.
Yeah.
And as I sat with you a couple of times in Mike Sharp's office, as a matter of fact,
Mhm.
and you talked about the basics, your seven fundamentals now, but something grabbed me back then. I asked you a question then. I just wonder where you'd be today with that same question. When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about? What do you do that puts you in a state that you can go out and attack every day?
I think that the difference for most people is that they don't really know what they want, Gary. I mean, most people if you ask me, what do you want? You know, like, what do you want out of your business? What do you want out of your life? Most people don't really know. They're not clear about that. And so I think if you could get crystal clear about what you want, then every day you have a mission. You know what you need to do. So for me, I knew I wanted to get wealthy. I know I wanted to get financially independent. I know I wanted to have an amazing life. And I knew the only way to get there in Primerica is you got to get wide, you got to build a big base shop, and you got to teach people how to be pros at the kitchen table. And so then what my focus was all the time was just to do that. I got wide. I got really good at teaching people, and like I said earlier, I only work with the motivated people. But I had a plan, I had a vision, I knew exactly what I wanted. It was crystal clear about that. I didn't let anything get in the way. I never got distracted, you know. And so I think you need to figure out, what do you want? Exactly what do you want? In our life, money is how you get there. I mean, you know, a lot of people have a problem with making money. I don't have a problem with making money. I think I should make more money. But so I think you need to get to the point where you know what do you want exactly. Be crystal clear about that, and then have a plan to go get that. And you know what it takes here. You got to build a big base. You got to teach people how to be professional salespeople. You got to make money. The only way you're going to build something and retain people is if you teach them how to close, teach them how to sell. If they can't close, it's not a matter if they're going to quit. It's a matter of when they're going to quit. So
Hmm.
that's what I would focus on if I were all you guys, is, become a pro. I have a saying, pros get paid, amateurs get exercise, right? And
Yeah,
that's true in everything.
Back
that's
in that
great.
day that
Thank
I
you.
sat there in front of you, you said, the odds are, Gary, you're not going to make it. I thought, but he was right.
Did I
Those
say
are
that?
the odds. And
Yeah.
I had to spend every waking moment trying to defy those odds.
Oh,
And
good.
that's the advice that you gave me. Um, so when distractions arrive, Hector, when they come along, and they always come along, how did you how did you deal with it? How did you not succumb to that pressure? And sometimes our family is our reason, but sometimes we have to have our family sacrifice as well. We have to sacrifice. We all have to. How did you do that? How would you do it today?
Well, it just comes back to what I just said. I knew what I wanted, and there was. I used to say, the only way you're going to get me distracted from me getting where I want to go to becoming wealthy and building a great business is you're going to have to hit me across the head with a 2x4. Otherwise, there's no chance that you're going to get me distracted to get off track and to follow the masses that usually quit or give up or let up. I just wasn't going to let that happen. I mean, and so that was a decision. I think you have to make that decision. You're going to have distractions. You're going to have issues. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have family issues and business issues. Everybody has them. Nobody's immune from that. So what you've got to do is you got to decide in advance. I'm not going to let any of that stuff get me off track. I'm just not going to. And you got to keep going forward and pushing, even if it's tough, or even if your attitude's a little off, or things aren't going exactly how you want. You can't let that stop you from moving towards what you want. But you got to get crystal clear about what it is you want, and then have a game plan, and then implement that plan, and don't let up on that plan until you achieve what it is you want to have happen in your life. That's how I did it.
Love it, love it, love it. One last question.
Mhm.
What did your routine look like in the morning? So you would get up. What time would you get up? What would you do? When would you be at the office? What did it look like at the office? What did your routine look like?
Well, like for me, because I was working like a crazy person and gone a lot at night and stuff. My first thing I did is I took my kids to school and I spent time with them in the morning. I did that. I did that every day. I made sure that I took them to school and I talked to them and I, spent some time, energy with them. And then also what I did in the afternoon, uh, I'd pick them up from school and I'd take them to get a bite to eat, or sometimes I would take them to a movie in the middle of the day, or so I'd do stuff like that. And then at 5 o'clock I was gone on. I was going on appointments and training people and all that sort of thing. So I think what I did is I made my family was all, even though I didn't spend as much time as I probably wanted to at that time, I made my family my kids and my family a priority. So I I don't know if that answers your question, but that's basically what I did.
So I hear a lot of your training then was probably done in the field with guys field training.
Yes, absolutely. And the other I did my other training on Monday mornings. I did a managers meeting for the full-timer people. And that was more talking about your mentality and being, being mentally tough and that sort of thing. I talked a lot about that. And then I did the other training on Saturday mornings from 9 to 12. We used to do all the fundamentals training. And then I would have from time to time, usually once a month, I'd have a kind of a closing meeting, like where on a Friday night, maybe I'd have everybody who's committed come in Friday at 7 o'clock, and we're going to do 2 hours, and I would teach them how to sell, how to close, how to get results. And so my thing was always, my closing ratio was very high. It was 80+%. If I sat down with a qualified client, it was pretty much a done deal. I knew I was going to close them, and if I could recruit them, I would recruit them. But I think that you need to have a plan like that. So to get those results and help people become successful and the other thing is I think what I did is I wanted all my teammates to emulate me. So I made sure I was the perfect example, and I personally did all the things that I expected them to do. And so I had a high closing ratio. It was not unusual for me to close 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 sales in a month and recruit, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. And that's what I did. And so I taught people how I did that. That's what I did. I talked to them exactly the things I did to get those kinds of results. And so the motivated people, they followed what I was teaching them. And that's why we've done the kind of business and built the business that we have today.
And that toughness that you had was so attractive to anybody who wants to go. It's just like a magnet. And so thank you for all you've done and for putting that out to everybody throughout the years. You're the ultimate leader, my friend.
Thank
Amazing.
you. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Gary. Wonderful. So like I mentioned to Hector last night when or yesterday when we were talking, Gary's in Alberta, which is I call it like the Texas or Nevada of
That's
Canada.
where that's where the
BC,
oil is, right?
that's where the oil is. Yeah,
Oil.
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where Marcus Andy the Popic started as well. But anyway, and then BC is kind of like California. We talked about all that kind of stuff. But anyway, our next guest is Kelly and Lee Kirkpatrick, who live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is next to Alberta. Like that's kind of like the Midwest in the U.S. But they're part of the code number that you helped me buy back 25 years ago. When I was asking Hector, should I buy another code number? And it was Hector was a great mentor to me on that. So Kelly, so the number one earner in Saskatchewan, Byron Chatfield, is at Mary Arizons in California.
Mhm.
So Kelly and Lee are the number two with over 800,000 because their mom and dad just retired.
Oh,
Kelly and Lee now have to take over that business, and the combined income for them is 800,000. So Kelly's a
oh,
near-term $1 million earner too. And I wouldn't know Kelly if you hadn't helped me buy that code number CA155, Hector. So thank you for that, Kelly.
awesome.
Over to you. Over to you, Kelly.
Hi,
Awesome.
Kelly.
Thanks so
Oh, by
much.
the way,
Hi,
she's also
Hector.
Francis Averett. Women in Primerica. She's
Oh, yeah.
just kick-ass.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Kelly. I'm going to brag on you a little bit.
We got to wrap up, Barry.
Okay, all
But
right.
I
Okay,
am
go ahead.
I'm super honored to be able to chat with you today, Hector. When I first started in the business, Barry ran an incentive. You had just bought our hierarchy, and you had come out to Richmond, BC, to do an event. I think it was 99 or 2000. So it was my first business trip, and I earned the right to have lunch with you. So I was very excited to have lunch with you until I showed up and there was 100 other people there. So I didn't actually get a chance
I
to
sneak
talk to
in
you,
at
so
lunch.
I'm so excited to do that today. But thanks so much for all your coaching and mentorship over the years. I know you took a step back to take care of Jan and enjoy life, but you were never gone. We've all had all your trainings and systems and processes that you left for us to learn the fundamentals. So we love having you back involved and being able to ask questions to you. So one of the things that, in sharing the fundamentals has been pivotal, such a powerful, just practical training for people to get the fundamentals in business. And we know in this business, a lot of people spend a lot of time recruiting, field training, and we bring in a lot of people, but the nature of the game is that a lot of people don't stick around. It's a numbers business, and we know that. But the field trainers and the RVPs and the people that do stick around end up building quite a significant client base over the years that need to be serviced, right? Especially important in a securities business where we do a lot of investments involved with the insurance and such. So do you have any advice or what systems that you had built to follow up with these clients or take care of these clients? Because it does become a little overwhelming for the people that stick to be able to service clients and keep building new ones. What would you suggest or would you do for that?
Well, I actually didn't. I didn't really have a system for that. My thing was always recruiting and training and developing people. That's all I ever focused on doing, So I honestly didn't have a lot of securities clients. We didn't do a lot of securities back then. I do a lot now. I make a million, one or two in securities now every year. But I didn't have that back then. My thing was always building a team. I knew kind of like if you think about Starbucks, you have Starbucks up there, right? Everybody, it's everywhere. So, I mean, Starbucks is location oriented. They have massive number of locations all around the world now, and there's them like or McDonald's is the same thing. So that's what my focus on was developing a bunch of outlets, which means RVPs that had their own offices, and that's what I focused on, and developing people to become leaders and become RVPs because I don't know how many RVPs I have. I don't know, 400 or 500, a lot of them, but that was what I focused on doing. I want because I wanted to build a business that didn't need me involved in it at some point. One of the reasons that I was able to do what I did with Jan and spend time with her is because I had so many independent leaders that were really, really good that really didn't need me. I'm sure they liked to talk to me all that, but they didn't need me to build their businesses. And I got their skill sets up to the point where they didn't need me, and that's allowed me to have a lot of freedom in my life. And so that's if I were you all building business, that's what I would be focused on is building RVPs, building teams, building people that are really, really good and independent of you. Because if you ever want to have a life, you got to teach people to be independent, to be able to function and grow and develop their teams without you physically being engaged in it. Right. I mean, so I'm always available on the phone to talk to people and stuff like that. But I didn't want, like, I haven't, like for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, I didn't go to a Fi America meeting. I didn't do anything. But my business, because the way I built it, and I taught people how to be, professional salespeople and how to build a big base and all that, they didn't need me to be there physically. I was always a phone call away. I could always talk to somebody, but I didn't. I want to get to the point where I didn't need to be there physically. And so uh,
Would you
now
reassign those clients then to other RVPs, other
I
people to
I
take care of
probably
those
I
clients
probably
after?
I probably would. I mean,
Made a lot, I'm sure,
because your
yourself.
value is in developing people, not clients. That's where your real value is developing people. So I focus on developing people, and because there's only so much time in any given day, right, to deal with everything. So if you're spending a lot of time servicing your clients, and you need to do that, or you need to have somebody do it. I'm not saying not to do that, of course. But my main focus was developing, RVPs, teams, people that knew what they're doing and were really good. So I spent all my energy focused on those people that could become, RVPs and becoming and teaching them how to be a pro and how to be, how to build it correctly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes any
Thanks.
sense to you.
No, that helps for sure. And that's all I'm going to ask. I'm going to pass it on. There's a couple other people that want to talk to you. So thanks again for being on today. Really appreciate your
Get to
time.
1 million. You're so damn close. Get to 1 million.
It doesn't count.
And just to Kelly's point, one of the things I know from when there was things that I had complexities in the business in Canada, I would call Hector's team, Rob Holmes, Darlene, and who was the OSJ guy you had? The guy that passed away, Hector. What was his name again? Do you remember?
Uh, Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Hector, because things got so heavily compliant in our world at some time when Joel Plumeri come on board. Hector hired a compliance guy from Atlanta, that guy, and he became your compliance guy. And man, him and I talked a lot. He was a huge help to me.
Right.
Yeah. But
Well,
anyway, so you go ahead. Yeah.
for one of the reasons I think I've had a lot of success is I'm very good at delegating, and
Mm,
I don't do anything that I could get somebody else to do it. So I
yeah.
made sure I had, people in place that even today, Rob and Darlene, Doug, it was Doug Sorchilla.
Doug
Yeah, so,
Sorchilla. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
he
Sad for
was
him. He
great.
died. Yeah.
You
Go
know,
ahead. Yeah.
and he kept on saying he was going to retire, but he never retired. But unfortunately, he passed away. And but Rob and Darlene, who run my back, administrative part of my business, um, and they do it remotely. So I don't even ever see them, but we talk all the time, and they do such a great job of taking care of my business and stuff that uh, it's been a godsend to have them having good people in place that can take care of stuff that allows you the freedom because your real value is in building a team, finding good people, training them and developing them. That's where the money's at. I make the kind of money I make because I have a bunch of people that are really good that I've developed, not because I'm not out. I haven't sold a thing personally in like 30 years. So, but I've taught tons of people how to sell and how to become, a leader and how to be great at the business. So I spend all my energy on developing people. Um, and I think that's if you're going to build something big, that's what you have to do is develop people.
Yeah. And there's so many questions coming in, which we won't be able to get to them all. But I want to get to our next speaker as well, because Arlie kind of is all over the place. He's got his son taking care of his, Canadian business, Brent in Richmond, where you came to talk, and in Eldon's in Washington State, I think, taking care of the American side. Arlie's got one of the biggest hierarchies, one of the top earners in the company. So please welcome Arlie Larson to the chat.
Hey, Arlie, how are you,
Uh,
brother?
Hector, I
Good to
love
see you.
listening to you. I could listen to you all day. I don't know why I would do any talking, but um, I listened to Art Williams a lot when I got started,
Yeah.
and then we got your training system. We listened to you, and I think one of the things that I always watched was your fundamentals. Learn to be a pro, learn to sell, and then learn how to build a hierarchy.
Hmm.
It's not so much what we do to build a hierarchy, it's the fact that we're in the people business.
Hmm.
And, I think in the early days when we're out trying to make a living, we hate the fact we have to make appointments. We hate the fact we're always out in the field. And you learn to love that after a while. You learn to love, giving freedom to people. But we always built our organization, and I know you've got 16,000 reps. I have 1,600. So I'm about 10% of the size you are.
Hmm.
We have 169 RVPs, and that's the number I look at. I look
Hmm.
at the number of licenses, the number of RVPs, and whether it's growing. And I do a 1 hour meeting every Monday with our people yet. But we have a great life and we're free. And I love what you talk about that. But you also at many times have said you got out of the field too early.
Yeah, I did.
Maybe just talk a little bit about that. A lot of our people are still in the field. They have to be. And I'm still in the field. I mean, because I have some great friends that have been with me 30, 40 years that are worth multi-millions because of us helping them.
Yeah.
And I love people and I love their kids and I'm just a part of their family. And so I just look after them. But talk a little bit about that, because I think the struggle for the newest person here is they're not making enough money. They're thinking about quitting. And some people, when they're not making enough money, I say, go get a job and hate the job enough that you'll actually go to work at Primerica. And I've coached a lot of people to go get a job. And
Yeah.
people say, are you idiot? No, because I promote my RVPs by income mostly, and by the fact they could build a base shop and be independent. That's how we promoted our RVPs. And so talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think the reason that, I mean, I'm going to repeat myself, but I say this all the time. The reason people leave is because they can't close. And because they can't close, they don't make any money. And because they don't make any money, they quit. That's period. It's not a complicated business. So the reason I think I've had the success I've had is I always taught people how to sell, how to close, how to get results. And so my focus is always, if a person was thinking about quitting, then they're still willing to do work. I would make sure they learned how to close because that's how you retain people. They make money, they stay. They don't make money, they leave. So if your team has a revolving door, I guarantee it, they're not very good at closing. So they don't make money and they quit. So nobody quits that makes money. I mean, Arlie, you've made millions here. And there's no way we couldn't ever get you to quit, right?
Not
There's no
likely.
way. So, and the reason is because you make too much damn money, right? My thing was if I could teach you how to make a lot of money, I'm locking you in. That's
Yep.
that's how I locked everybody in. I
Yep.
got their skill set so high that they made money and they just can't quit. Because
Yeah.
if they're making a $50,000 a year at a job or something, or even 100, and now I have them making a 500,000 or 1 million, where are they going to go?
That's great.
Even if they don't like me, they can't quit. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that to me was always the number one thing I focused on is I need to get people making money. And I would tell people that, look, I'm going to teach you how to make money. And if you listen to me, you follow my instruction, you follow, my example and exactly what I'm doing, and you start making money, you're going to stay in the business. You're going to have an amazing life and career. But if you don't do the work to do that, then you're going to be gone. It's not a matter of when you're going to quit. It's just, it's not a matter of if you're going to quit, it's when you're going to quit. So my thing was always making sure, and I know I'm repeating myself a lot because this is a clue. If you had like 10, 50, 100, 200, 300 people that could close like you can close, what would your business look like? Okay. And everybody knows, you're making a fortune. So why would you be spending any time doing anything but teaching people to do what you do and how you did it? I don't understand what could you be doing that would be more important than teaching them and transferring your skill and your knowledge to those people. That's what all your energy should be expended on. And if you do that, they're going to make a bunch of money. They're going to be locked in. You don't have to babysit them, and you can have time and have a life. And if you ever want to have a life in Prime America, you got to have a lot of super, highly competent people that know what they're doing and they make money. That's how then you can travel and do what you want to do and enjoy your life and all that. That's what I've been able to do is I have so many people. I make money. I don't know. I make $10,000, $15,000 a day for years. I've been doing that, you know? And so, that's what you can do here. And then you can have a life. My life is like, it's so good. It's embarrassing.
It's amazing because, I hired an attorney to work on an estate plan the other day, and he was apologizing because he charges $1,400 an hour. And
Mhm.
I said, well, I don't have to do what you do, and I make a lot more than that every hour. So he said, what?
What?
I wouldn't do what he did. I wouldn't do what he does, and that's why I hired him. If I
Yeah,
did what he did, I wouldn't have to hire him. But
exactly.
no, I agree 100% with everything, and I watched your tapes, and I think, when we talk about you work with motivated people, I've looked at people, if they're making money, they're motivated, or they're just lucky, and we know that's not going to go on, and so we got to help them with their skill set.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, working with the motivated people, I even go on here, most times I'm on a webinar, I look up my people that are still in my base. I want to kick them out to RVPs, and I see if they're on here. They know this meeting's going on. Are they on here? Have they sacrificed an hour of their time on a Saturday morning like
Yeah.
we did? And the other thing I want to mention to you, Hector, is that you never got too big. Your head never got too big for your hat. You never, ever got above being nice to everybody.
Right.
And you didn't override me, but you would take time to visit, and we would visit with you and Jan, and you were so inspirational. And I think that's one thing we want to remember is we want to give back, and you're
Yeah.
giving back, and we
Yeah.
love having you back. And we didn't hear a lot, but we knew what you were doing. And for 16, 20 years, you were taking care of the love of your life.
Yes, absolutely.
Unbelievable moral issues,
Mhm.
stable, example for us like you wouldn't believe. So you never have to apologize for not being here. We know, and you built such an incredible business. We all wish we could just emulate and copy. So to me, I just want to, I couldn't thank you enough. And I have one more question. That is, we live in a Zoom world. I think it's a bit of a dangerous world.
Yeah, I
We get
agree.
we get lazy and we think we can do Zoom. Maybe we need to get out there and shake the hands and look them in the eye and create more relationships. What do you think?
I agree with that 100%. I mean, so people ask me, would you build a Zoom business? I think Zoom's fantastic, by the way. The fact that I can be here in Pasadena, California, and I'm on the phone, I'm lying in bed right now, so I'm talking to you guys, and hopefully, imparting some wisdom that can help you be successful. I think that Zoom has a place. It's very, very good, but I think you also have to be in front of the people. You have to be able to, shake their hand, give them a hug, let them know that you care about them. I think it's very important that people know that you care about them and you want them to be successful, and you're here to help them get there, to mentor them and teach them whatever. So I think that's important to do that as well. And I think that's that I think building a bit. I don't know where all y'all at, but I mean, my focus is always on building a big base shop. I mean, that's what will set you free in Primerica, is that's where you promote RVPs, and RVPs are that make money are what allow you to have security in your business and stuff like that. So that's yeah, you need to be around your people too from time to time.
And just in closing out, today it's so easy to make money in securities that a lot of times people forget they got to teach people how to really market and build RVPs, because that's the freedom. A book of business is going to give you some cash flow and some freedom, but you got to service those clients or
Right.
pay people to do that. And we want to build a business of books where we don't have to have that responsibility. And so naturally, the securities part of the business has been huge.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just really become a part. Like you said, you earn $1 million on a securities business now that you didn't really build, but the
Yeah.
people that are good at selling built that business.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I was never personally great at selling securities. I was just great at recruiting and developing people. And so, yeah, I don't know, like see some of the, like you, kind of, you know, transactions you guys do securities wise. I never did that, but I train people to be professional salespeople who have done that in my business, and I override that. And, I don't know how much I have under assets under management, $4 or $5 billion, something like that. It's a pretty big number. And I think I can get my securities income to 2 million, and that's kind of a goal of mine.
It'll happen. And we built it basically by using the FIN number to get the future pulling.
Yeah.
And the number, people can't get over their problem unless it takes 10 or 20 years. Once you get them hooked, they
Yes.
just do. And it's like getting an RVP independent. You got the client independent. They're
Mhm.
calling you saying, hey, I got some more money. I got to get it in there.
Yeah, or they're turning you on to other people that they love and care about. Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you, Barry. I think I've used up enough of your time, and I could visit all day with you, and hopefully
So good to see you, Arlie. I'm so happy that you're doing so well.
Oh, hey, great to see you, man.
We're just like family. It's wonderful. It's just
We've been
like
friends for like decades. It's a
yeah,
long.
decades. It's been 4 decades. Well, I haven't didn't know Hector joined 40 years ago. I joined 39 years ago. Arlie joined 37 years ago, I think. Arlie, something like that. Yeah. So we know each other for decades, just like, and hey,
Awesome.
we got one last speaker to ask you questions. This is kind of a surprise, Hector, because I didn't tell you he was going to be on. But this gentleman I met at your function, okay?
Okay.
He is a multi-million dollar earner that, like a lot of other people, came from his New York hierarchy or his
Mhm.
Florida hierarchy to California to listen. And him and I became friends. He's not a Canadian, but he did come to Vancouver and Victoria, and him and his son and I flew in my little airplane all over the place, give him a
Right.
sightseeing tour. We are welcoming the last person to ask you questions, the fabulous Keith Otto.
Hey, brother,
How
how
you
are
doing,
you?
my friend? What's happening?
You remember when you came out to see me in Palm Springs?
You bet your ass it cost me $3,500 and I could have done this for free. So I want a reimbursement back from Joe Primera there. Italian son of a gun. Hey, I'm actually at MIT. I just got here, checked in. I'm speaking at MIT this weekend, but Barry is a great friend of ours for years. And actually, it's Barry's fault I own a plane right now, you son of a gun. But just give me a little taste of flying a little private plane. I fly now. But anyway, I wanted to hop on here. I don't want to ask you a lot of questions because I've already asked you a lot of questions. But what I want to do is I want to tell you how it impacted us big time. And we've been very fortunate. When I flew out there, first of all, Hector, what you've done for us and a lot of people in the company, when I joined A.L. Williams, no one accused of us as a company of being professional. No one accused us as running a business. No one accused us as being training the trainers and running a distribution system. It was kind of it wasn't like this with everybody, but the mentality for a lot of people was it was kind of you throw the stuff against the wall, some of it sticks, whatever doesn't.
Yeah.
And it was almost kind of that East Coast, West Coast mentality, not Tupac and Biggie, but almost like the East Coast, West Coast mentality was the West Coast, and everybody's perception was they're a bunch of sales guys. They don't recruit anybody. The guys on the East Coast are a bunch of recruiters. They don't sell anybody. So, I came from the Safford, Enser, Schechter hierarchy. And so I was starving for information. I was starving to kind of emulate somebody. So when I heard you speak and I watched how you were, I said, man, I don't just want this guy's business. I want this guy's lifestyle. I want his life and everything about you. You put class into it, And so there came a point where we were able to donate or bid on an opportunity to spend a weekend with Hector and Jan LaMarque. And you guys were a class-ass couple, and my wife loved her, right? So Scott Fletcher and I paid a bunch of money and donated money to fly out to one of your retreats. And then I stayed at your house in the desert. My mom was living out there, so it worked out cool. And then we played a little golf. But I went to your event, and I used to listen to your cassette tapes in the car driving around when I was still a plumber full-time, doing A.L. Williams part-time, trying to make extra income. I made $150,000 my fourth year part-time because I was able to close. I was able to sell. It wasn't because I picked up hiring packs back then. We call them IBAs now. Yeah. And so, but I was kind of creating my own little sales. I wasn't building a team. I wasn't duplicating myself. So you said a lot of stuff that helped me. But one thing is I started self-improving because I listened to your cassette tapes. And I think about the terminology and the technology today that I'm not a Zoom guy. Like I'm doing Zoom right now and I Zoom in for people out of state. But Florida shut down for 1 week during COVID. We didn't get COVID in Florida, if you look at the statistics, but we did. But we really shut down for about a week. But we do live meetings because I think that's important. But the technology that we have today where we could get on and get the information. I used to think about it, we flew out there and spent $3,500 to come to your retreat so I could grab an hour with you at lunch at Capitol or California Pizza Kitchen, whatever it was in Palm Desert. But I asked you a bunch of questions that day. And the first question you said to me is, well, where was your income? My income was about $200,000 at the time. And you said to me, well, that's good. You're making some money, but who do you have on your team, Keith, that is as good as you? That can, in my perception was, if I sat down with my uncle who had a bunch of money, or somebody was spending $8,000 on a whole lot polish, or somebody who had a net worth of over $500,000, $1 million, who would you say? I said, Hector, I could do that all day long. You said, okay, who on your team do you have? I said, I got a ton of guys. And then I started going, oh shit, there's no way I'd send this guy. There's no way I'd send her. And I started sitting there. And as I'm going through the list, it got blatantly obvious that I didn't have anybody. And you said, why? And you said, Keith, you can close. It's a personality driven versus system driven. You kind of gave me that example. And you gave the analogy, which I never forgot, about a magic show. And you said, you get up there and all of a sudden you're training these people. You walk out and they're handing your checks for Primerica Life. They're handing you checks for this. But you're Milico back in the day, but you're not duplicating yourself. And one of the things that I see a lot of people in the business back then, they ran very dependent teams. Yeah. Everything depended on the leader. That's why I think sometimes when a leader leaves the company, people, they panic. Well, why would it matter, right? Because if you're building independent people. So for the first time, I witnessed
the focus of why you want to build independent, have the end in mind. And then I saw that. And then the also side is, I said, I went out there, what blew me away when I met Barry out there was, I thought, and I said this kidding around, I thought there'd be you, the Youngers, Susie, and a few people sitting around reading Tom Hopkins books or some bullshit, right? And then what I realized was, and I said to you, what blew me away is the amount of people you had at your retreat. And then the Youngers did their own retreat. Susie did his own retreat. You had those guys, and it was tons of people there. And then you looked at me when I was playing golf and you said, well, somebody friggin' recruited somebody, right? And then what I realized was, by watching you, that recruiting is a sales process. Right. So if you're not going to get good at sales and overcome an objection, so we listened to that over and over and over again, but it really, it gave me confidence because you had confidence. I think confidence in anything in life is attractive, and we're in a people attraction business. Right. And what I got from that is, if I get more confident, then I'm going to get more confident. And if I get more confident, I'm going to have people that follow us. And we were doing okay. And we went back and we implemented all that stuff. And all of a sudden we went 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when Joe Enser approached me about buying his business, at first I was not interested, which was my upline. Mm-hmm. And I ended up by buying that business, but I wouldn't have bought that business. So he wouldn't approach me about buying his business if we didn't build a big base. At that year, I think we ended up that year, after number one in the company in recruiting. I think we averaged about 100 and some recruits a month in our base, and our business grew. And then we started putting out first generation RVPs. And then we built a solid base, and then base through first, which is why he approached me originally. He wouldn't have approached me if I just wrote a couple sales, or I got some referrals here or there, recruited some people. And I look at our business, and like you said, our life is ridiculous. I mean, in the last 5 years, I think this company's paid us, our 1099s are over $30 million the last 5 years. It's ridiculous because of the business. And it all starts with fundamental. Now, I mean, I haven't written a personal sale to make income in 25 years, except I just recruited, my son just came on board. So I started field training him and taking him out on appointments, and he's a regional leader. He's killing it right now. He's got 15 licenses on his team.
Awesome.
But I look at that. I went 25 years when I had to dust off my old A.L. Williams flip chart. Why am I here? I'm here to show you how to realign your assets so you should work. Help you get more value for money you now spend. Help you improve your total financial picture. If we could do that, you'd be interested. Bullshit. And what happens is, today, it's not easier because we deal with people, and people are people, but it's absolutely simpler for us to go build. Because look at this right here. You got 2 different countries on here. We're able to get the same information that we'd have to spend one-on-one time, fly 3,000 miles away just to get this. I mean, we didn't have this. So I think this kind of doesn't make it easier, but it makes it simpler for us to build that distribution, that Starbucks mentality, or that McDonald's mentality. And I want to thank you for being that kind of picture of what it's going to look like. I use the example or analogy all the time. If you ever done a jigsaw puzzle, which drives me crazy, but if you see you throw 100 pieces or 1,000 pieces on your kitchen table, and you open up a bottle of wine, and you sit there and you try to put this thing together, you want to go crazy. As hard as it is, looking at the picture, imagine if you didn't have a picture and you're trying to put those pieces together. You've been that picture, I think, for the entire company. And it's just awesome to see that.
You're a good friend, Keith.
We got to go out and play some golf, my man.
Absolutely.
How do you get that money back that you took from me on the
Yes, you should come to Cabo.
We'll get together. I'll give you a call.
All right. Sounds good, buddy.
Yeah.
All right,
Great.
Barry, thank you for the invite. It was a pleasure getting a chance to hop on here at the end.
Well, thank you, Keith. It was a pleasure having you on. And you're at MIT right now, right? Which is where? Is it in Atlanta? Where's MIT?
It's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's not hell, but you could see it from Atlanta.
It's not helping. You can see it from there. Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for all you do for the rest of the company, buddy. And it's been great too. I mean, I remember when you guys, I came to New York and we hung out and we had fun and laughed our asses off. And we always talked about how Hector changed our business. Right. And so it's so good to meet you through those events, buddy.
Yeah. And by the way, to this day, I still do stuff because it impacted us big time. Thanks for all you do, my friend.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah, Keith.
Hey, Hector, thanks. We just got a couple more minutes, if you don't mind. And I think maybe what would be kind of neat is this is one thing I remember when you were sitting, you say, why are these people trying to motivate me? I just want them to teach me how they're doing. Why are these people selling the dream? I want them to teach me how they got the dream. I think
Right.
you talked to us a lot about what you did to get the dream. Is there anything you want to share about the dream today that for the people that are on the call today? Anything you want to share in general is up to you, man. You can close this out.
Yeah, well, I'm living the dream. I mean, just like Keith, we were very fortunate to build something significant and make a lot of money. But um, the dream is, I mean, this is with my life, all right? I have 3 homes. I have no debt. I have not had any debt for 25 years. I have 3 very nice homes. One in Cabo San Lucas. It's a gorgeous home. It's on a golf course in an ocean view. And then I have a home in Newport Beach, which is beautiful. And same thing, I have a golf course and ocean view. And then I have a home in Las Vegas. Well, all the rest in Vegas is desert, so there's no great views, but it's a fun place to have a house. I mean, we have fun there. And I've been able to travel a lot. I think one of the things that's been really exciting is, I've been to 70 countries. I've seen so many amazing things and had so many experiences that a kid like me, from this big Mexican family that nobody made money. Like my dad had a third-grade education, and he worked 2 jobs, and to go from where I was, no, I had no examples of successful people in my life growing up, and so to be able to be where I'm at now, I'm very grateful for it. And but the reason that I have is because I work so hard on developing me, and I think that's the kind of leave you with that message. You need to work really hard on developing yourself, all your skills, your people skills, your sales skills, your time management skills. It's really important that you grow yourself. And I don't go a day that I don't spend some time on personal development. I mean,
Mhm.
literally 7 days a week I do that. If you follow me on X or Twitter, my handle is Hector LaMarque. Very easy.
Mhm.
And I put
Yep.
out stuff every day. It's all personal development stuff. It's all thinking correct, thinking like a winner, acting like a winner, being a winner. That's what I do. And I spend a lot of energy, and I've always spent a lot of energy on that. And I spent a lot. I think I probably spent between 150 and $200,000 on personal development over my career. But I've made over $100 million as a result of that. So the clue here is, if you grow you can't teach what you don't know. You can't teach what you don't do. So, and if you become great at what you do and you teach the right people, the motivated people, to do what you do, to emulate what you're doing, that's what's going to allow you to get wealthy. That's the key to wealth for America. And so, and then the money just starts coming in, and then you start saving and investing. Like I make more money on my investments that I have now than I do in Primerica, and I make a lot of money in Primerica. And so that's allowed me to have even higher level of freedom and security. So I just want to encourage you guys to just make developing you your priority.
Mhm.
It's going to allow
Priority.
you to develop your team. You can't share what you don't know, so you got to do that, and you get people thinking and because as we think, we act. So you got to get people thinking like a winner so they can start acting like a winner. That's really important. And so that's what I've done a good job of over the years. And if like for me, I, I've I've spent all these years, basically training my kids. My kids aren't kids anymore. So, my daughter's 45, and her name is Janae, and she is a director and a screenwriter. She's very successful, and she's an amazing girl. She's super smart. She went to Stanford, and she got her MBA in screenwriting, and she's just a winner, man. So she's a kick-ass girl, that's for sure. I tell you, she's awesome.
Sure is.
And then my son, Dak, he went to Wharton Business School, and he just about 3 or 4 years ago, he started his own. He's got his own hedge fund, and he's done great. He manages my money, which is really good for him because he grows out, and then he's going to get that when I pass. So
Yeah, right.
he's in great shape. And so, you know, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about having being in Primerica and developing people and helping my family win. Also, it's just amazing. I feel really, really blessed. I'm very, very grateful for everything
Well,
that's
thank you.
happened. Yeah.
Well, your gratitude shows, and we're grateful for you. And just closing with a couple of last quick stories.
Mhm.
When Hector first came to BC after Hubert made a mess of everything and had really hurt the BC Ale Williams model in a lot of ways, and things were going. And when somebody Tracy Byers suggested I talk to you, and I did, and we agreed to work together, and we needed you to come up and rescue us. You came up to Burnaby, British Columbia with
Mhm.
Jan, and the dumb thing I didn't know is I thought is that the partners speak first. And so I gave the microphone to Jan that day. Remember, Hector? And you forgot to tell me that Jan does not speak on stage, but she did anyway. I mean, I was so sweet of her. She's a bigger introvert than you are, and I didn't know what to do, so I gave her the microphone before you, and she just started talking. And you said that's the first time Jan ever spoke on stage, probably the last time too. So just thank you, Jan, for that. And thank you, Jan. I think about her all the time. And
Yeah.
lastly, when you came to our office and we were all sitting waiting for you to motivate us and talk to us, and you told us exactly what you said today, almost the exact same thing.
Mhm.
And then you asked for questions. After about 20 minutes of talking, you asked for questions. We were all sitting in our office, me, Brian, Carson, Keller, and all that. And we were sitting looking and said, we're supposed to ask questions. And Hector said, okay, if you don't have any questions, I'm leaving. And he left. Hector walked out of the office in 20 minutes after talking. And we go, wait, no, come back. Okay, we'll make up questions. And so, Hector, I want to thank you because this is to us asking you questions. We actually know a lot of your answers because you repeated them, but thank you for being so fundamental. Thank you for taking your valuable time to be on this call and teaching us Canadians how to keep on kicking ass. We appreciate it, man, so much.
Canadians
Love
are awesome people, by the way. I'm in Cabo. I'm a member at this club called Querencia, which is unbelievable. It's a beautiful place and great club. And I'd say probably at least 25% of the members are Canadian. So I have all these Canadian friends in Cabo now, and they're awesome people. You guys are awesome people. You really are.
Yeah. And one of your neighbors lives on Stewart Island, which I can
Yeah.
see it from my house,
I
right? It's
own
pretty
the
amazing.
island.
That's
No, yeah.
mind-boggling.
Chris Mailman, I mean, I know he might be a multi-billionaire. He built this like 30,000 square foot house. It's right across from me. It looks like looks like a hotel, but he's a really good guy, Canadian, very
Yeah.
successful. And
Yeah. And he came from Campbell River, everybody. Rob,
yeah,
that's one of North Vancouver Island is where he apparently originated. So again, Hector, thank you so much. Thanks for helping us to be better, and appreciate all your time. And I'm sure we'll
well,
be chatting in the future, and
absolutely.
have a good rest of your day. Take care of yourself, and
I'm going to go
they
to
had a
some
Dak and
going some
they
little
had a
league
Dak and Jenny
baseball.
for me. What's that? Sorry.
I said I'm going to my grandson's little league baseball. The two of them. So you have two baseball games I'm headed to.
Oh,
After,
love it. Well,
which is
oh
great.
man. Well, thanks so much, and say hi to Dak and Janae for me. It's great
Okay.
thank you guys.
All
Hey
right.
everybody, thank you very much. Hector, we appreciate it.
Love you
Mike, do you
guys.
want to
Stir
close
it
it out?
up.
Mike, the
Thank
boss.
you.
Okay, thanks, Hector.
Thank
Mike, do you want
you.
to close us
Thanks,
out?
Hector.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Wow.